Good to go. Philip, wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
My pleasure.
So I'm looking forward to get in and get beneath the layers of who you are and your business acumen, your investing, everything that you do. But to begin with, I want to know, living through this pandemic 4.5 years ago or so, how many ripples did that create in your life that you still feel to this day?
Whew. It's interesting because it's kind of like understand backwards, move forward. So there's so many things that have happened and that have changed because of COVID. I mean, even the way that we're interviewing right now,
Yeah.
virtual meetings, like we're like here and there, but that's primarily everyone's like, oh, I want to take a virtual call because it means I can be somewhere else and be somewhere else. But I do miss some of the aspect of being more in person in so many different cases. I love doing interviews like podcasts, but I really enjoy doing them in person. Virtual, of course, is still great, but I think that's one thing that I still really miss is the aspect of being in person with people more.
I think I'm a kid of the 80s, so I always think about those scenes from Back to the Future when, they're playing music and they're seeing things in the future and they're trying to like wrap their heads around it. We had everything at our fingertips at this point in 2020. We could connect via technology, but I think as a human being, we really felt that whole thing of why we're here, and it's to commingle together as humans. Because
Yeah.
we had every means, like you said, with Zoom, but it's totally different when you're in a room and you're exchanging energy particles. It's a different scene.
Yeah, amen. I definitely think that's a huge thing. Like we're built to be in communities.
Yeah.
Like I think humans in general, I love being in community, the community that you're born into, the one that you cultivate between your friends and your family, like the family you choose, which really is your other friends. And so being able to still spend time with them in person, like I love a phone call, I love catching up, but there's nothing like spending time with friends and really just like being together.
I don't want to get too political here, but I think the one person that I admire the most because that's a part of their background is Barack Obama. He was a community organizer. He was all about community. And I think that's the thing about where we are as a country right now. If we can understand and grab onto that notion that we all need to like pull each other in and accept each other and just be a community, I think it would just make things a little bit better,
Agreed,
you know.
100%.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day, and one of the kids in the back of the room is really curious and is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you
Yeah,
answer him?
Yeah, I would say I'm an entrepreneur. And so, what does that look like? I help solve problems one way or another. It's what we all do, no matter what kind of job that you're doing. Your teacher solving the problem of teaching you guys how to learn. Whoever the janitors, they're solving the aspect of solving the cleaning problem, what's going on. I just get to solve problems with different businesses. So that's probably how I break it down.
So let's go back to the beginnings and early on in your life. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream?
Yeah, so I was stuck between wanting to do something with math or science. And so it was a lot of my life has been a lot of trial and error, like more than anything else. I wouldn't have guessed that I've been full-time in business about 7 years. I wouldn't have guessed that this is what I was going to be doing whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When I
Well,
graduated high school, I knew that I wanted to do something with math or science. So I went to go and shadow at an engineering firm. My dad's an engineer by trade, was like, I didn't really care for it. After that, I worked for a reverse mortgage company in the IT department. Did that for a while, watched people go into cubicles and not come out for 9 hours. I was like, I would kill myself if I had to like not talk to people for an entire day. And then
yeah.
I was like, okay, like maybe medicine, because I was like, I can use math, science, but I can still interact with people. So that dove me into studying biology and working in pharmacies. And then getting to go live abroad for a little bit and work in hospitals in Greece. But it was after that that I realized that I didn't want to do medicine. So I ended up coming back, was still working in pharmacy, and I met a pharmacist who didn't want to be a pharmacist. And I was very curious because I was like, all right, like you actually made it to the end, like you're a doctor, you're making well into six figures. Great job, married, healthy kids. So like the picture perfect dream life, like from how looking at it from a 20-year-old. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, what is it that you're interested in doing? And he was saying that he wanted to get more into finance because that's what his stepfather was doing. And that's what kind of like started the journey into some aspects of business.
So what were the foundational seeds? Take me back to where you were born and raised, and what were these foundational seeds that were planted into you that ended up getting harvested into becoming an entrepreneur and running your own gig?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say my family immigrated from Kenya a handful of years before I was born. So my dad came over here for grad school, and then my mom had already done school. Both of them had did college in Kenya. and then came over here, did grad school, master's degrees, etc. Then my dad got his first job opportunity in Atlanta. My mom was pregnant with me. I have an older sister that was born in Tennessee, so we all moved down here to Atlanta. And I would say like the most foundational thing that I think is super important from a kid perspective is the aspect of my parents always told me like I can do anything I put my mind to. And so there was never an aspect of a push of I have to do one thing or another. It's just more so like be great at whatever you're gonna do, like push hard, like work hard and do right by people. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So it's kind of looked different, but I think that was the real seed that gave me like the room to fail and the room
Yeah.
to try stuff, the courage to try stuff. So I think sometimes people are either running towards an ideal or running away from an ideal that someone has for them. I was just lucky enough that like the seeds planted in me were super positive.
What's been one of the hardest years or clients or moments on this journey that you've been on that maybe you didn't know how you were going to get through it, but it ended up being one of the best parts of you and you grew the most?
Hmm. I would say that it was the aspect of learning how to deal with bad business partners. I think similar to romantic relationships, 90% of success of those is selection.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, there's only so much that you can do, but also being mindful of like how you do anything is how someone does everything. It doesn't mean that as humans, we don't have range of a lot of stuff, but if someone will do something to someone else, they'll do it to you. And so
Yeah.
being mindful of anyone that has a vindictive nature for lack of better sense. But yeah, it was a bad business partnership where I lost a good chunk of change
Wow.
and a lot of money that hindered a lot of other stuff. And it was really difficult because then you get stuck in the moment quickly of like, holy crap, like how did I not see this coming? But it's like if you would have seen it coming, you would have done it,
Right.
right? But
Right.
it's like I believe that we're not given anything that we can't handle. I'm still here. I'm still healthy. I'm still able-bodied, able-minded. I still have great relationships. I have everything that I need to move forward. And I'm young. Even if everything crashes and burns, like I don't have kids or any dependents. I don't have to take care of my family, luckily. So it's like I have the room to keep going, to keep trying. And I think I like it because I used to always have I had a rule when I began getting into business and doing investments with other people, which was like I won't invest behind, like I'll invest beside or like in front of, but I won't invest behind someone that hasn't lost more money than I have. And now
Wow.
it's a similar aspect of how I'm looking at like getting into business with people. Like I wouldn't get into business with people unless they've got burned. And we've got to talk about how and why you got burned in that situation because I think it's really good to show like how people handle scenarios, especially ones that you're not expecting.
So, who's been a hero for you? Who's been that inspiration, that bedrock that's propelled you to become who you are?
Yeah, so I would easily say my parents like first. I think coming from the scenarios that they did, which was like real destitute poverty in a third world country, where it's like I don't believe in condemning people for things that they don't understand because I think sometimes people that immigrate to America from a bunch of different places often look at it from the aspect of how do people waste the resources and things that they have. There's so much that's here because it's kind of like if you're below a threshold, like it's a real blessing that there's so many subsidies as far as like housing, food, healthcare, education, etc. But on the other side and in other countries, it's kind of like if you're poor, you die. If it doesn't work out, and if you don't just have like a sliver of luck some way somehow like there's no one coming to save you. And
Yeah.
so I would say for them coming from the humble beginnings that they did and building a life while also like really having a heart to like serve other people, that's where I really got like my heart of service. I really thought everyone used to spend their weekends like either giving out food, like giving out like clothes and stuff, because that's all I spent my time doing like as a kid. So it was really important for my parents to like give back and give back from a place where it's like there's so much impact from people that you'll never meet, and you have no idea what kind of positive ripples like that puts everywhere else.
Yep.
And I absolutely like just love it. So I definitely would say like my parents first and foremost.
So, if you could meet an entrepreneur out there or a business leader that's doing it right from top down, good product, taking care of their employees, good public image, just somebody that maybe you'd want to hang out with, you could get and glean something from, who would that be?
Definitely Ray Dalio.
Yeah.
That would 100% be the person that I'd like to sit down with because outside of just the business aspect, it's how much he spends time in philosophy as well. And so I think it's a really great balance of like they say like the worldly man and the spiritual man. So he spent a lot of time to build a really strong aspect from a worldly standpoint. I mean, you have a multi-billion-dollar company, you obviously did something at a great and high level, but then also from a spiritual standpoint, at least from the depictions and everything else, he's definitely focused so much on not only the outside but the inside. And I think the inner work is some of the most important work we can do as, humans, to be our best self so we can be better for other people and, in the ripples of the world.
So I'm curious, any good entrepreneur, the cornerstone of what they do is risk. What's the biggest risk that you've done in your life?
It's funny because when I think about that, I think about it in so many different areas. Like I think from like a financial risk, from
Yeah.
like investing in deals, like large sums of money into different deals, or from like looking to take down acquisitions of like actual companies, to buying like multiple cars, because I got into the car rental space, and it was more so off of it was a conversation actually that I had with a guy at a community event that was in Atlanta, and he was in his mid 40s, and we were just talking about business and life. He's like, yeah, like I'm right at the point where I've done about $250 million like between my businesses, like lifetime now, in like 20 years or so. And he was like, if I could go back to your age, he's like, the one thing I would have done is like take more risk. And I think hearing that conversation and like being there, like, it made me think when I was at crossroads or points where it's like I could have been more risk adverse. That kind of played in my head, and I was like, like take more risk. Like go buy, like go do one more thing, like stretch yourself a little bit more, and then like see how far like you'll actually go. But then I'd also think about like how have I put myself at risks from skydiving,
Yeah.
doing skydiving or zip lining in underground caverns, or traveling in countries where I don't know anyone and just deciding to navigate and see things. But it's like those are the different risks that I feel like have brought so many rewards from just perspective of like life and scenarios and people and friends that have come from all walks.
So what is it that gets you up every day to do this work? Obviously, there's this entrepreneurs have this image that everything's great, everything works out all the time, but it's tough. It's hard
Yeah.
being in charge of what you're doing. There's a lot of risk, there's a lot of ups and downs. So ultimately, at the end of the day, what gets you up out of bed, what motivates you to be at the top of your game and to take care of what needs to be done?
Yeah, so I would say definitely thinking about like my vivid vision of like what I want to create in life. And I also like the aspect of anyone that is striving towards their goal is successful. It's
Yeah.
just the aspect you might be waiting on certain aspects of your success to catch up to you, but it's kind of like the aspect with Olympus, right? Like take someone that wins a gold medal. It's the day that they're there, they're like, oh, they became like the gold medalist. When it's like they've been the gold medalist because they've been putting in the work for so long. It's just being actualized now. But they've
Yeah.
been putting in the work behind everything else. So when I think about the life that I want to live, the life that I'm currently living, actually, like this is now the point where it's like I'm getting to live a lot of my wildest dreams and doing all the things that I really wanted to do. Where now the next piece for me is finding that person to start a family with, and then like just being an amazing dad and husband is honestly the highest honor of things that I'd like to do. Like making more money is definitely cool, and it's something that we need like to sustain yourselves and do everything else. But I think the other thing that I've learned with business is the aspect of you're always working for somebody. A lot of people want to get into business because they're like, oh, like, I want to work for myself, but it's like you're always servicing a client. It could be like an institution, it could be the government, it could be another company, you could be subcontracting, but like you're always working for somebody. The only difference is money's guaranteed, money is not. And
Yeah.
can you eat what you kill and live with that if you
Yeah.
don't? Because you will have moments where you don't. But that's the thing, like, you got to figure out how to get sharper. I think another thing that if I could go back, or someone is like, all right, I want to follow the footsteps, what would you do differently? And I wouldn't start a business. I wouldn't start anything. I'd go and buy one, because you can buy the infrastructure of everything that's already there, the employees, and then buy something where it's like you're knowledgeable, or you can step in that role and operate it, or hire an operator that trains you on how to be great at it, and then keep going, rather than like you're starting from scratch. Like normally in most cases, you don't have access to people that can really give you the insight to really grow something really, really fast. So it's like you're just taking steps in the dark. And so it's wonderful. And I'm glad to kind of be on the other side of so much of it. But that's definitely something that I would do differently. Or even people that I know that have really high corporate paying jobs, they work way less than a lot of entrepreneurs. So it's like, you can get to the point you start hiring out, and I definitely have people and a lot of systems. So it's like it's not that much on like day to day. So now a little bit of my focus is on strategy, one, and then just taking care of myself from like a health perspective, because I definitely put that on the back burner for a couple of years.
So let me ask you this. You talked about traveling. I don't know if we were on camera when we talked about it, but I'm curious, what's been one of the most magical places that you went to that was unexpectedly magical and beautiful?
I would say the water in Curacao was something that was very different. It's like it's the waters that so it made me think about beaches I've been to in DR, in Greece, in Curacao, in Bahamas. It's something about like the water. And now it's like I really love sunsets, like
Yeah.
more than anything else. And I do drone videography as well. I just took it around because I was traveling a lot and then I actually got good at it and decided to get my pilot's license. But it's the aspect of just like every different sunset is it's different, yet it's
Yeah.
like the same. So like you really just get used to saying like I love sunsets or I
Yeah.
love the water. So it's even really hard to be like which one was like the surprising one because it's just
Sure.
like you love and just appreciate them like in general. It's like it's even the little thing that could be different, but it's something that's glorious about just being able to be there and experience it and see it.
Yeah, I totally dig it. So at the end of the day, of everything that you've done and achieved and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
I would say I'm definitely the proudest of the people that I've been able to help go from 0 to 1.
Right on.
Yeah. Sometimes that looks like someone buying the first house or starting a first business or getting into a school that they wanted. Or we've even had kids that we've helped kind of like get out of, they didn't want to do traditional school, so that getting into trade school because that's what they actually want to do. And I think that's more so the thing that really like gets me going because I'm big on like, I ask you what it is that you want, and then I want to help you accomplish that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you what I think about it unless you ask. Don't get unsolicited opinions, but I'd love to hear always the aspect of what is it that you want to do? What's in your way? And then how can I make that easier for you to accomplish that? Because I've been blessed and lucky enough that like I've had a lot of random people that have popped into my life in the right moments to do the exact same thing.
So everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would say I'm someone that identify as relatively stoic, but more than anything, someone that just enjoys life. I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, we're so much more than like, there's so many hats that we can get wrapped up from an identity standpoint. Like, I'm an uncle, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a friend, I'm a business partner, I'm a mentor, I'm a teacher, I'm a consultant, I'm an investor. It's all these different things, but at the end of it all, like, I really just like the aspect of someone that loves to seek out knowledge. I'm someone that loves to seek out knowledge, learn things, and enjoy life.
What's the greatest thing about living in Atlanta, Georgia?
I would say one that it's a gigantic melting pot of a bunch of different cultures. So I've been
Yeah.
able to meet so many different people from so many different places, and the aspect that we have a gigantic, amazing airport that can go practically anywhere.
Yeah.
Really easy, and it's a Delta hub. That's my favorite things about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's a great, efficient airport. Hey, man, if anyone wants to reach out, they want to hire you, learn more, any other good business in your world, where do they go?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Phillip Karaya, Phillipkaraya, or find me on Instagram at Phillip.Karaya.
I love it. Philip, I love the energy, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Best of luck. Have a great 2025.
You too. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.